One. All right, we're live. What's up, party people? It's your host, Sunny Ray for the Sunny Ray Show. Thanks again to our sponsor, Raz Rocket. Today I'm joined by Sharif. Sharif's calling in from New Jersey, right? You said?
Yes, sir.
So Sharif, he's the chief evangelist officer at CineBlock. They're an equity crowd financing platform for entertainment. They're looking to integrate AI into their platform as well. So we're going to dive into that. Super excited, Sharif. Thank you for making time today. Let's maybe start with your backstory. Yeah, like so. Just would love to hear a little bit more. Were you born in New Jersey? Where are you coming from?
Yes, thank you, Sonny. First off, thank you for having me. Much appreciated. So I'm originally from Nyack, New York, which is a suburb about 20 miles north of the city itself. Grew up there for the most part, and then went to a small liberal arts college outside of Philadelphia called Swarthmore, which is where I met my co-founder. Interesting enough, and that's where our passion for films was really explored. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, where, by the time I was 13 years old, you could walk into a movie theater and on the same day see Shawshank Redemption, Seven, Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction. Like these films that are now deemed cult classics were everyday films that I would go and see. And so, yeah, my passion began there as a teenager. And like a lot of people, started in obviously I started as like a writer, right? Wanting to do that, be behind the camera, and then move to some things in front of the camera, right? We're fortunate enough to dabble in a few things, including stand-up comedy for a while. I was fortunate enough to move to Chicago. I studied at Second City, an improv Olympic, where I got real hands-on, theater training experience. Was also submitting to film festivals, writing pitches, doing any and everything, right? That they tell you you're supposed to do to break into the industry. And like a lot of people, I went flat broke. Totally flat broke, had no money, said, "Oh my God, I've got this education. Let me at least put it to use." So I then went back to school. I moved from Chicago to Virginia, where I attended the University of Virginia to get my MBA. Was recruited out of Virginia um, to Atlanta and got into the world of tech sales. I was doing that when my good friend from college, who's now my co-founder of the company, called me up and said, "Sharif, I need your help." And I said, "With what?" And he began outlining were the various problems that we saw in the indie film market. And the real question became, how can we solve these problems with a solution that benefits all stakeholders involved? And that essentially became the building blocks for what is now CineBlock.
And what is the challenge that you guys saw, or what is this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
this
some of the
hurdle.
challenges, the first challenge is money. And I hate to generalize, but most filmmakers are broke. They're putting their entire net worth into making their art, right? They've maybe put a mortgage on their house. They're not paying their credit card. They've maxed out their credit cards. They're asking family members for money. So what we began seeing was that so many filmmakers would go about chasing the small amount of accredited investors, people with a net worth of $1 million or more, who then traditionally invested in films and asking the small percentage of people for money, right? So our idea was similar to the way mutual funds are packaged, is why don't we fractionalize the cost of that investment to increase the number of potential investors? Now, simultaneously, what was happening was that crowdfunding was becoming this growing force. For those of you who might not be familiar, those are campaigns that you see on, say, Kickstarter or GoFundMe, things of that nature. So people and a lot of filmmakers were using crowdfunding platforms to help secure funds to make their movies. So the model was already there. So what we decided to do was to flip it in terms of, instead of traditional crowdfunding asking for donations, let's make this an equity crowdfunding model, right? Where regular everyday people are now investing in entertainment IP, films, televisions, whatever, right? But just at a fractionalized cost. So that was sort of the catalyst. Like that idea was the catalyst for the company it is that we then went about building.
And what year did you guys come up with the idea?
Oh gosh, we had this conversation in 2019.
Okay, so it's been 5 or 6 years.
It's been some time. We've had to put a lot of work into this. Like many
Interesting.
startups, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. It takes time. So tell me, maybe we're going to talk a little bit about Cineblock, obviously, in a few minutes, but tell me a little bit more about I guess AI, like you
Yeah,
mentioned that you're going to be using it in your platform, but like
absolutely.
when did you come across AI? Like when did you kind of
Oh
stop
God,
your
I mean,
tracks?
yeah, I've been in the world of tech sales since going back to 2015. So AI became this thing that everyone began talking about. I'd say circa 2020, 2019 is when we first really began to hear about it. And for us, the idea of it was because of the time frame in which we came up with this. It was always something we wanted to explore. Now, to the everyday person, I think they may think of AI as, the Terminator, type film where there's software that's out there, that's going to take over the world. But the reality is that the average person had already begun using small hints of AI already without even thinking about it. Anytime you go to your Netflix and you see a predetermined films you may like or things that you're interested in, all that is that's data that's being filtered based upon your existing preferences and then put in front of you. That is a very, very early form of AI in a sense, right? And so what we figured was that when our platform launches and we've got a number of films up there, we'll operate in a somewhat similar fashion where based upon someone's investment preferences, based upon the films that it is that they've invested in already, the platform will then filter to them certain films it is that they may have a liking for, right? If they've already invested in, 7, 8 horror films, it would only make sense that a new slate of horror films then be, readily introduced to them, right? So things like that to sort of begin sort of the I don't want to say mini, but the sort of early steps for integrating data usage and AI into the platform. From
Oh,
there,
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Trey.
oh, sorry, no worries. And from there, then the goal is to have sort of like a film ranker, right? That based upon someone's preferences, they can, once again, if they've invested in X amount of movies that do X amount of, that have a particular sort of storyline, right? Then there will be sort of like an AI ranker that comes out that will give a rank to say, all right, this falls in an 80% sort of category of what it is you might like. Check this out. This falls 70% into what it is you might like. Check it out, right? Those are some of the immediate tools that we're thinking about implementing.
So is it inaccurate, or is it accurate to say that you're building like Netflix meets crowdfunding of some
You can
sort?
look at it that
Yeah,
way,
where
right?
where like the audience has ownership of the material they're watching. Yeah.
That's a very good way to put it. Yes, the audience now has the opportunity to invest in films that they want to see made.
Very
Um,
interesting. So the entertainment industry is notoriously gate kept, right? Studios, agents, distributors, all kind of controlling a piece of the pie, right? So was there a specific moment or kind of like experience where you saw how broken the funding model was, and
yeah,
where you were like, there has to be a better way? Yeah.
absolutely. And I say it from my own experience as someone who
Yeah.
tried to break into the industry and failed. Like the amount of
Mhm.
days I sat on my couch heartbroken because someone said, you're not good enough. We like you, but we don't like you enough to actually put any resources behind you to see you develop. And many artists go through this, right? I just wish there'd been a platform like this when I was 25 years old and fully involved in trying to make it, in the entertainment world. But that's absolutely it. And so our goal is to democratize financing. If we democratize financing, right, at the start of when a film is made, then ultimately what we can also democratize are the types of films then that are shown to the general public, right? And that's part of the whole system. Just in the same way that cabs were not efficient for a lot of people, right? Uber came along and made cabs totally have to update how it is they do business. Hotels, for often, were only in one area of a particular city, and if you were living or wanted to visit relatives who were not adjacent to that hotel, Airbnb came along and provided additional options. Same thing now for financing in films. Just like you mentioned earlier with studios being gatekeepers and saying only these type of films will be made, we are doing our best to put an end to that and say, well, what do people in the community want to see made?
That's so fascinating. Um, that's really interesting. Just letting that sink in. Hey, so with Netflix, there's like this subscription model, right? Where you pay monthly, you get access to your movies. YouTube, they've got this free thing. They, show ads, and that's how I assume they stay in business. Um, But in your model, it's neither one of those, or does it also encompass those two elements and it's this kind of equity angle, or how does that play out?
Great question. So it's free for anyone to get onto our website. You can go on it, log on it right now, cineblockfilms.com, right? What you'll see then are films then that are going to, and what it allows is for that person who's running their campaign to basically break down just what their film is about and what their particular offering for investment is. So on our standpoint, there is no subscription model like a Netflix, right? It's free to view the campaigns, but in order to take part in the benefits of the campaigns, like potentially equity or rev generation, et cetera, that's going to require investment.
Got it. And I'm not mistaken in saying that the CineBlock is inspired by like the Web3 kind of space.
Great
Yeah.
question. Yes.
So the NFTs. So I started India's first Bitcoin and crypto exchange in December 2013. It's still in business. We just had our 13-year anniversary last month. Quite proud of our effort. In fact, we took on the central bank when they came after the industry in
Nice.
2018.
Congrats.
We won that court case in 2020. Tim Draper led our Series A. So
Awesome.
quite familiar. Obviously obsessed with AI, but also very much into crypto and Bitcoin. So the NFT space went through a brutal winter, right? While you were, it sounds like almost like in that building stage, a lot of projects gave up. So what
Mhm.
kept you convicted that blockchain based film financing wasn't a fad, but essentially the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think to take a step back, so many people when they hear blockchain, they automatically then think crypto and that it's one of the two, right? And I always have to
Right.
tell people take a step back and understand, no, blockchain is the foundation. Crypto
Mm-hmm.
is the use case for which blockchain has become famous. It is not the all end
Right.
all be all of blockchain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
way we incorporate blockchain is to record the totality of all the transactions that happen from an investment standpoint and give that person who's invested an irrefutable ledger, which articulates and displays the day in which it is they made their purchase. So we go back to the problems that we saw in the industry. One of them was transparency. One of them was record keeping, right? You have so many people who've put in sweat equity into making a film and reap none of the financial rewards because the record keeping has been so poor on part of by the studios themselves, right? Or the studios throw every single expense under the sun to prevent a film from becoming quote unquote profitable. So what we want to do is to say, all right, there's an alternative use for blockchain here. And it's not just cryptos, right? It's literally almost using blockchain like a diary and as a ledger, right? For people to always go back and say, all right, this is where I made my investment. It's logged here on the blockchain. I got it. You can't deny it. Here it is, right?
I love
Um,
that. So using it more as like a way of proving who created that film and when, is that correct?
really more who invested in that film,
Ah,
when that
got it.
investment took
Got
place,
and
right?
there are investments made via crypto, or can people just send in a
No,
wire or whatever?
yeah, they're sending regular cash, regular
Nice.
regular cash
But
investments.
can they invest with Bitcoin?
Uh,
Not
at
yet.
this point, no.
No.
It's
Okay.
something that we've built in. We've thought about this and
Interesting.
basically said in the future, if cryptocurrencies become a lot more mainstream.
Sharif, sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say I was going to introduce you to my co-host.
Hello,
He
the
tends
future,
to,
the
walk
future
in.
crypto billionaire himself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Maybe a movie actor. Who knows? We'll see with that
Right,
face.
or act or
Yeah,
both.
sorry to interrupt, but keep going. Yeah.
No, no, no worries. Oh, that's too cute. How old is he?
This guy is 1.5, but he wears
Wow.
a 2-year-old's clothing. He just woke up. He took a little nap.
Yep. Look at look at you. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the blockchain for us is a vehicle to track a lot of these transactions, right? And it's for the benefit of all parties. The issuer, the person running the campaign, so that they can keep a log of who's invested, as well as the investor themselves to keep a log of what they've invested in and when.
Love that. Cool. So walk me through how Cineblock. Oh, actually, wait, hold on. Did you guys go live recently?
We did.
So how did that feel? From the pain that you described from years ago to the
It
insight of solving it, all the way to now being like, let's
It,
go.
yeah, you know what? It's a really unique feeling. Thank you for asking that. Every emotion that you can think of was wrapped in that. So it was wrapped up in that release, like relief, like, oh my God, we finally got past this hurdle. But then it's like, wait, anxiety. Now we actually have to scale this, right? Now we actually have to go about so it was anxiety, happiness, relief, uh, anxiety, scared, like every single emotion you can think of, all wrapped in one. But it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling.
Well, congratulations. I mean,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, having been kind of in the trenches here for myself for almost over a decade, I could tell you it's not easy, and it definitely doesn't get any easier, but it is highly rewarding and satisfying, right? When you can build something and create something in your mind's eye and bring it to the world and help
Yeah.
people, and it's something else. So walk me through how CineBlock actually works as a matchmaker, right? So on one side you have filmmakers, on the other side you have funders. How do these two
Yep.
groups actually find each other? And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but is that where the AI magic kicks in, or?
AI, inevitably, yes, AI will be used in that capacity, right? So what we do, it's our job to generate this platform, right? And then market then the films or the film catalog that the issuers are putting out there. So we have our own set of internal eyes, right? People who've expressed interest in investing in projects. We then market those projects to those people. So we've got a number of network partners who we then market those projects to, as well as our own internal group, et cetera. So I tell people all the time, when building this platform, I had no idea that I would essentially play the role of a chaperone at a middle school dance, right? Where I've got on this side, or I've got on this left side, the issuers, on this right side, the funders, and trying to line them up and basically play the right song, right? So picture CineBlock then is the middle school at which the dance is taking place, right? We are the hosts, and I have to play the right music, right, to get both parties onto the floor to say, hey, you like this song? Wait, I like this song. And let's essentially dance, right?
I like that. I like that analogy. Sharif, so tell me a little bit so have you guys fundraised yourself this project, or are you kind of bootstrapping
Yes.
it, or
Yeah,
what's
it's
the?
it's bootstrapped. Friends and family, our own money, our own sweat equity, et cetera, to basically build this platform, which took us some time because we also had to go through SCC and FINRA accreditation, which was a 2-year period itself. So we are, as far as I know, the only SCC FINRA approved crowdfunding platform specifically for entertainment IP.
That's amazing. So you've talked about this transition from Web3 to Film 3. Uh, so for creators who've been building on YouTube, TikTok, I don't know, Instagram, but can't get traditional financing, what does your company unlock for them that didn't exist
Oh,
before?
great question. To me, let's take a step back for everyone who was in the world of Web 2.0. For those of you there's terminology, right? So Web 2.0 were your basic social media applications, right? Your Instagrams, your Facebook, your TikToks, your YouTubes, etc. What those were great for was for content creators to build audiences, to build your own spaces. Now, as we transition to Web 3 or Film 3, what that's going to be is it unlocks the ability now for those content creators to now utilize and financially partner with the very people who have followed them for these past couple of years to say, okay, you like my content enough, you follow
Got
me.
it.
Now,
Got
if
it.
you believe in what it is I do, let's work in partnership together to now build the following, right? And now to financially leverage these followings it is that people have amassed over these years. This is the next iteration of financing for entertainment.
Love it. Love it. So the creative economy they say is projected to hit what, like 500 billion or half a trillion dollar market by 2030. But on the flip side, you see Hollywood kind of pulling back, right, on development. So do you see Cineblock as filling this gap in the market?
I certainly hope we can help fill that gap, right?
Nice.
The
Nice.
problem, let me say the problem. Traditional Hollywood movie making is suffering from a number of issues, right? We've all seen it with the strike that happened 2 years ago, et cetera, et cetera. The reality, and as a fan, and I think most people would say this, They're tired of going to the movies. Not because there's something fundamentally wrong with going to the movies, right? You think about the cost and you think about the time it takes there and the actual return it is you get. When if you just wait 2, 3 months, that movie will be streaming from the comforts of your own couch. So Hollywood is busy sitting here wondering, how can we get people back into movie theaters? The people who own these movie theaters are saying, how can we get people back into these seats? And the rationale from here, from the community of people, is like, it's a real easy answer. If people are owners of the very media it is that is being or owner of the films it is that are being displayed, they'll absolutely go and see that. If you own a piece of a movie that was financed on a platform and now it's been 6 months and that film is now hitting theaters, people will line up to go see it. And not only that, they will go and tell their friends and their family and say, hey, check out this movie that I invested in. It's premiering on such and such date. That's how we can help bring audiences back to theaters. It's not through popcorn. It's not through leather recliner seats. It's not through finger foods or pressing a button and having someone come up and bring you your food. Those are temporary band-aids on an industry that's essentially bleeding money. The whole system needs to be restructured. And if we get people caring about the films it is that they want to see, we get them financially invested in the films that they want to see, then guess what? They'll go see them.
So, last question. So, if CineBlock achieves everything that you're dreaming of, what does the entertainment industry look like? Let's say, I don't know, 5, 10 years out.
It looks like what the community wants it to look like, where films are they platforms like CineBlock, not just CineBlocks, right, are used basically as almost like incubators for films, right? And you can follow an entire filmmaker's journey, not just when the film is made, that's when you know their name, but you know their name through the entire chain, the entire process. And you, as that investor, have the opportunity to grow with that filmmaker and invest in them early. And now because you invested early in them, you get offers to be producers in the film, to be as extras in the film. And then you get to go to the premiere of the film, and then you're actually now going to the theaters and helping see films that you help finance.
Cool, man, Sharif, for great interview. I love your, passion, enthusiasm, and yeah, and for just, building a solution to this problem you've been, intimately kind of, looking at for some time. So thank you so much. Anything you want to share in terms of some closing remarks? Where can people, learn more about you? Do you have
Yeah.
Twitter or LinkedIn or,
Yeah.
and then
I'm on
also your
like,
website? Yeah, maybe just
yeah,
explicitly spell
exactly.
it out.
So our website, www.cineblockfilms.com. Please go and visit. We've got a number of titles that are coming up. Love to get the world's feedback on it, and let's help change entertainment.
Cool. Awesome. I'm going to bring this one to an end. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And Sharif, just hang out for 2 seconds.